Thank you, Mercedes. That was amazing. This next poet, what can I say? I feel that they arrive with the community. Veteran poet, artist, and yet this is a debut poetry book. Laiwan is a visual artist, a writer, an activist, a thinker, a speaker, an educator in Vancouver. I know her as a humble and kind, generous presence and someone who is often in a room in the ways that she needs to be in the room, as a witness, as a participant, always relevant. Her work is also cosmopolitan and eclectic and sophisticated in the most humbling way as well. Inspired and inspiring, what she produces is so often surprising, even as it explores the ephemeral and the everyday. Laiwan has chosen to be based in Vancouver for decades. She's often talked about in terms of displacement or moving around, but she's been a fixture here for a very long time, focusing on the local, where she is well known as an artist, but also as the founder of the Ore Gallery, a very significant place. Of Chinese ancestry, she grew up at first in apartheid Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe. And with her early schooling, correction. Of Chinese ancestry, she grew up first in apartheid Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, with early schooling by German nuns. Interesting. Then, when her family relocated to Canada, she had a life here as a teenager in East Vancouver and attended Britannia Secondary School, where she learned to work the printing press. To make sense of things, Laiwan has stumbled into poetry, and for this we are grateful. Educated at Emily Carr College of Art and Design, then called, and encountering the punk and art folk rock scenes, she later gained an MFA from Simon Fraser University. She is now a teacher and an educator in the United States down the coast, but also ever in our local. Please join me in welcoming the formidable Laiwan.
Thanks, Cecily, and thank you very much to Talonbooks for publishing this. It was a really great honor and privilege to go through the process, and especially working with the Talonfolks and Charles Samad. He's a really great editor to work with. Any errors in this book are my fault, not at all Charles. He was very, very dedicated. I will begin with On Heroics. Feeling. For many years I have been preoccupied with throwing out the heroic, that which is of persons from someone else's value. Cecil John Rhodes, the Pope, Vasco da Gama, Mother Teresa, Christopher Columbus, Jesus Christ. How do I find someone to call my own? Most heroes who were fed to me since kindergarten are difficult muses. I snarl at their names with reluctance as a reference point. What was their heroic act? Our idea of them having done something of extreme courage. Their names are here to remind me of their exemplary action, told to me in a way to inspire a sentimentality, my inadequacy, our redemption. I do not feel like remembering. Such stories, the actions of these heroes, have taken up so much time and space, they inspire a grand nausea in me, a hollow feeling at the base of the gut, as if to say, remember feeling, forget remembering, feel this. Voice of the body. Strong, silent, princely kiss. I swallowed a poisoned apple for this? If feeling is a language, how and what have I been taught to articulate? The amount of time I have taken to clear myself of the heroic is equal to the space the heroic has taken in my body in dis-ease and symptom, an equation I've learned to unmute my hesitant body. Heroic action. Attending to feeling as it is happening is extreme courage. It is where the likes of nausea can exist, grow, and be communicated. To communicate this dis-ease, a dis-ease that comes from knowing there is a motive, a mission, as to why someone is teaching you about the heroic. Taught to be awed by the heroic, and yet bored by alienation, I embodied a double bind of conflicted passion, a silencing of feeling in the closet. Extreme courage is an intention to dis-ease without compromise. Icon. Before I knew that there is a difference between men and women, before I knew as a girl that my desire would be considered a particularity particular to women, I saw him fit in a place of desire in my imagination, a lithe, graceful body of movement without excess, feline, suave, and intent. Lee. He had the same surname as my aunt's. Bruce Lee, known throughout the African continent as the iconographic Chinaman, a Chinaman with the perfect guerrilla skills for surviving in the colonies, skills ancient and perfected by the infamous Wang Fei-hung, who fought invading foreigners in China at the turn of the century. Wang Fei-hung, heroic solely among the Chinese, signifying the selective heroics of wars, politics, imagination. At 12, smuggled into a Rhodesian drive-in, I saw for the first time Bruce Lee's precise leaps and philosophy of body existing in a place of perfect timing, perfect choreography, perfect self-defense. Sidestepping assault to reuse the misspent chi of the boring and untrusting. An articulation of body that could be mine. Like the only iconic cinematic Chinaman I knew of, I too wanted to be a street fighter, a boy with position. I wanted to be the butch philosopher, a fighting drag king, one who knew that the punch came from a place of passion, not anger nor sorrow. From the heart with feeling, he had said. Desires my aunt warned me about. Defiance. In contemplating the heroic act, I think of how boredom and the ensuing compromises strike. Aeroplane food, junk mail, telephone surveys, the jobber packing chickens every day, top 10 radio. Hierarchy, jealousy, mediocrity, repetition, predetermined being, unkept promises, predictability, boredom, social control through dullness. How do we defend ourselves? Perhaps the most heroic act is that which defies, with intent to defeat, boredom. A decision that refuses to accept the averaging of being to the lowest expectation or creativity. Such defiance, such a choice, is an intense desire based on the belief in value. I am worth more than this. Without selfishness, but with a longing for freedom, a belief in liberation. Back to body. If creativity is rooted in the desire to free all that has been silenced and or institutionalized, it is where we face the fear of feeling, a signifier of women, all body unheard and predetermined for all genders. Where I was raised, apartheid Rhodesia, I am made invisible for womanness, Chineseness, for not passing in drag, a body that cannot exist. It is where my feeling is mute, all response to the external masked. a smuggled body. When I visit this place, imagination and creativity cannot exist outside of me. It is expression without venue, dulling desire, a hiding of passions, instilling the nausea that is the cabin fever of the closet. Unmuting their undoing, taking care of this body that was not allowed, is not loud, working at setting free. Feeling again. Sometimes when I'm bored, I think of the work of the body's T cells. In disease and infection, they multiply or subtract in calm or in battle. And I think this multiplication or subtraction against infection is a heroic act, a passionate blood, working at setting free. I'll read one more poem. This one's called She Who Had Scanned the Flower of the World. A celebration of spring, the coming of light and longer days, a metaphor for the working psychic ecology towards a sensual economy and its embodiment. In winter, we learn to name the oppressor, and the name becomes oppressive. This is the logic of repression. She who had scanned the flower of the world finds an evolution according to the secret life of a typical dwarf yellow star, the sun. In the spring twilight, a full moon is shining. Cell by cell, I am devoured by light and heat, metamorphosis from one body to another. I become you. Woman, muscle upon muscle, strength in strength, we will return with limbs of iron, with dark and furious eye, independent from words, shocked at the limits to growth. Yet, you, a calm of soul, fragrance intoxicating, invading, taking me to a stillness without boundary. Still, to imagining my garden with you. She, the speed of light in empty space. At this precise moment, the cloud and sky open to emit light. At this very moment, flowers open to exhibit an end to the unending. Within one burning explosion, molded into emotion, every sensual realm exposed. Molecule by molecule, I am devoured by light and heat. Without genuine affection, where would I be? Thank you.